Well, this week we're talking to the candidates of the 2024 local government election for the Clarence Valley Council. And I'm pleased to say that Lynne Cairns is one of those candidates. She joins me right now. Hi Lynne, how are you?
I am well, thank you, Damien. Thank you very much for inviting me here today.
Absolute pleasure. Tell me a little bit about Lynne Cairns and where you've come from, and you now reside in Yamba.
Yes. We actually moved up to Grafton about over 30 years ago. And that was when Bob obtained the position as county engineer with the Clarence River County Council, flood mitigation. Yeah, so we've come from the Central Coast, and we were both working at Wyong Council down there at that stage.
And so you moved to Grafton and then to Yamba?
Yes, but we were in Grafton for over 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and during that time, I can tell you a little bit about my work life and whatnot.
Please do.
Yeah, I've worked in state government for 15 years and in local government for about 11 years. And within a couple of weeks of moving here, I obtained a position in conservation land management, which was great. And that eventually became the Department of Infrastructure, Planning and Natural Resources. I worked in various sections in that department, like in the water section, the vegetation section, hydrogeology, the compliance section, and also the geographical information system section. And I was training people out in the field and in the office, taking them out in the field, uploading information onto a GPS and coming back in the office and then training them on how to do that mapping. Now my qualifications, I have a degree in information technology, information systems. I've got a certificate in workplace assessment and training. I've also done a welfare officer's certificate because I used to work and manage a community centre for the aged down in Baulkham Hills Council in Sydney. And I've done many other TAFE courses as well on top of that. So that's me, yep.
So obviously you're now living in Yamba.
Yes.
And obviously enjoying the lifestyle down there, but obviously there are a few contentious issues living in Yamba. You're Secretary of Yamba Can. Is Yamba Can backing your campaign?
No, not at all. I am no longer Secretary of Yamba Can.
Okay.
I have stepped down. I'm not on the committee.
Okay, so tell me about what the contentious issues have been for Yamba and the community down there that has sort of led to you wanting to stand for council.
Why I've wanted to stand for council is I want to make a difference. I want to be a voice for our community and represent the community, the whole of the community. I've been doing that for years and advocating for the people. I listen and engage to people. I've had people come and reach out to me with their problems, their concerns. And believe me, there's been a lot of concerns. Even prior to me campaigning now, they tell me their stories and I try to help them. But also what is of concern is, which I'd like to send a message to council. Ratepayers and residents are not the enemy, which seems to be the prevailing attitude at the moment. Ratepayers and residents are the people council and councillors are employed to serve. And as I say, that just doesn't seem to be happening. There is very, very poor community consultation. There's lack of transparency and accountability. And people are screaming to have hall meetings. And that's just not happening.
There's literally no love lost between Yamba Can and council. Let's be frank about that.
Yes.
In fact, yourself, as when you were Secretary of Yamba Can, and I'm not sure if Cole is still the president, but you were named on a legal piece of paper that your legal action was pending, correct me if I'm wrong here, from Clarence Valley Council. It was that they were the client from the legal firm. That obviously changed to be the general manager. How did that make Yamba Can feel, and how did that make you, as the then secretary, feel?
I'll correct you in one thing. Never have Yamba Can been informed in writing that Clarence Valley Council are no longer the client. We were served with a letter of concern. It was addressed to Cole Shepherd as chair of Yamba Can and myself as secretary of Yamba Can, and the client has always been Clarence Valley Council. That has not been notified to us of anything different. Of course, that was extremely worrying. Why do that? And what it was over, it happened straight after a letter that Yambican sent to all councillors. What we had discovered from GIPA information, I don't know whether you know what GIPA actually means, it means Government Information Public Access. It's like freedom of information. And we obtained that from the Department of Regional New South Wales after option A for the Treelands Drive Community Centre got up, which was to demolish and rebuild. But prior to that, option B had got up in council. Now that rescission motion was also deemed unlawful by Councillor Clancy in a council meeting. Now, we were really concerned about it. That's why we lodged this GIPA with the Department of Regional New South Wales. What came back was that option B, they're confused. They understood council was working on option B, a permissible scope variation, and that was to refurbish the centre and extend it and not stay within the grant funding of 11.1 million, not to knock down and rebuild. When we sent that to all councillors, and that was on the 12th of July in 2023, the Mayor, then Ian Tiley, he emailed Yambican within 2 days and said, I don't have the resources to investigate this. I am emailing it to the General Manager. Within 4 days, that was when we received the concerns notice, alleging that we had defamed the General Manager. And we don't believe that was the case. Our solicitor, we had to legal up. We've had legal fees to pay. And I believe this whole matter was just so mishandled and wrong. And what changed, it was always Clarence Valley Council versus Yambican, right up until Mayor Peter Johnston was elected in September of last year. And then that was when that changed from, according to the Mayor, not according to Yambican, General Manager versus Yambican. But what the Mayor had also put in a Facebook page, a comment, it actually had Lynne versus Laura. And I took him up on that, and he actually said, that's what it was, Lynne. And I said, no, it was not. And spoke to him about all of this. And actually, Jeff Smith was present at the time when I spoke with him about it. And I said to Jeff, can you please outline what was actually said in a radio interview with Damien? I understand it was with you. And Jeff said, yes, I can, Lynne. And what he said was, as soon as he found out the concerns notice was served on Yambican, he went to the then Mayor Tiley and he said, Mayor Tiley, is it actually Clarence Valley Council against Yambican? And Mayor Tiley said, yes, it is, but you would need to ask the General Manager. This is what Jeff actually said in this meeting. The next thing he said was, I went to the General Manager and there was a witness beside her, which was the Director of Planning and Environment, I think he is, Adam Cameron. And Jeff actually asked the General Manager, is it actually Clarence Valley Council? And she said, yes, it is Clarence Valley Council. That was what Jeff told Peter. And I said, there you go. And Peter then said in this meeting that, no, Lynne, it was always from the start, it was the General Manager. So why are we fuming? Why are we furious? Why did we get so upset? Of course we're upset. It was just so stressful. We were very anxious. It was very unpleasant.
Are you comfortable now, though, that 12 months has passed and no further action has been taken? So would you call it the issue has been put to bed?
Put to bed, but never ever addressed properly. Never addressed properly. And that's so wrong against a community organisation of ratepayers.
So is that one of the reasons why you want to run to make sure that this can't happen to other organisations and other ratepayers?
What I would like, as I say, I want to be a voice and represent the community. I want better community consultation. I want to see the hall meetings. And I really do wish to make a difference. And if elected, councillor has to undertake an oath of affirmation or affirmation, and that is to best represent their community. I would be totally committed to that, and I am not running because of what has happened to Yambican. I have had so many people come to me, tell me their stories, well prior to even me campaigning. I've been doing it for years. And I really believe, you know, the role of a councillor is to ensure that council is accountable and doing the right thing and transparent. But that's just not happening, you know, and a lot of that seems to be overlooked. I myself, as one councillor, cannot do that, cannot achieve this. It has to be a group of very good, hard-working, cohesive councillors working together.
You mentioned town hall meetings, and other candidates have mentioned that as well. Do you think that is the best way to actually consult with the community, or would it be better to be able to have the councillors more open and available, I guess you could say, via email or telephone?
I think what you just said is both, really. I think there needs to be a better mix of community consultation. If they want the drop-in sessions, fine, but have a town hall meeting, and that's what people are really screaming about. Because what's really good in a town hall meeting is that you can hear other people's questions and think, oh yeah, I wish I'd thought of that. Well, that's interesting, you know, when you get an answer. And with this last drop-in session, which was about the local housing strategy and the affordable housing policy, and also about the, what was the other thing as well? Now I can't think. Oh, the flood modelling. And we had a drop-in session with that, and I asked the person who was running it, could we please have a town hall meeting? And he said, we don't do that anymore, Lynne. And I said, how can people learn about this? We understood that certain groups were asked to go to the Maclean Council chambers and were given a PowerPoint presentation about those items. The whole community weren't asked, and we understand that it was real estate agents and builders in a separate session to other groups, environmental groups, and I find that appalling. Where are the people going to learn about the flood modelling and understand the local housing strategy if we don't get back to a town hall meeting? If a person feels timid or shy to ask questions, sure, have the occasional one-on-one, but have a town hall meeting, but also with a time frame that is suitable people, outside of hours, working hours. You know, that's appalling that this isn't happening.
Council have certainly, I guess you could say, in one sense, the word, using your words, targeted Yamba can.
Yes.
If you were to be elected and some other councillors were to be elected with you on September 14, how would you feel working alongside of those other councillors?
Sorry, I don't understand your
So
question.
if Councillor Toms and Councillor Waits and Councillor Novak were elected on September 14, there's no doubt that obviously they've been vocal towards Yamba Can, especially Councillor Toms.
Yep.
How would you feel working alongside Councillor Toms and Waits and Novak?
I'd be fine. Get on and get the job done.
Yep.
And with this last targeting that you're saying, with the amount of resources that Yamba Can is supposed to have used with GIPA requests and RFIs, and with the cost implications of the Treelands Drive Community Centre in there as well, which is actually in that report. And even though the Mayor put up a foreshadowed motion to remove that, it is still in that report. This insinuation is there that, yes, we have caused that as well. The $1 million. I'm being called the $1 million lady now by a number of the community. But I'm fuming, and so are other people about this. The Mayor actually said, oh, it's because Councillor Toms wanted to know the resources used for GIPAs. Have Council got enough resources to process these GIPAs and RFIs? If that was the case, that should have been in the motion like that and removed the Yamba Can from it. Look at the GIPAs, give us a report on what it cost, resources-wise, man-hours to do this. And one of the things that Yamba Can did ask of Council was that, could you please provide us a detailed result or whatever that the Clarence magazine costs? Please provide the cost of printing it, the cost of formulating it, reviewing it, are you paying for photographs for it, and how many do you print? The response we got was, we print 5,000 every quarter and we don't quantify staff time. They did not give us how much that Clarence magazine costs. Why are we so concerned about the cost of GIPAs when there is only 7 that Yamba Can did? Why not? When we shouldn't have had that targeted at us in the first place, yet we don't quantify the cost of the Clarence magazine. There's something amiss here with budgeting and financial affairs.
Do you not like the Clarence magazine?
Clarence magazine is really about, it's rah-rah, how good we've been, look what we've done. It shouldn't just be that. Get back to putting in the full page, what used to be in the local newspaper, everything about council, the events, the development applications. It's just massive, what it used to be. And now we get this tiny little bit in the newspaper that really doesn't tell us much at all. Yes, I honestly think we need to get away from that Clarence magazine altogether, and get back to advertising in the local paper.
So wouldn't you agree, though, that the magazine's actually a good way to let people know what council have done so that they're informed, another way for information to be given to the community?
When it prints only 5,000 copies, how far does it get out there to the people? Really?
It's also available online.
Not everybody has online.
No, that's right.
Like, I had people from Grevillea Waters came and saw me when I started my campaign, Grevillea Waters in Yamba, and they said, most of our people don't even use a mobile phone, let alone a computer. And there's over 200 people in there. This is why the community are not being reached at all. And I just find that really appalling.
So let's talk about some of the other issues that you will obviously take to council. Obviously, stop the fill. I mean, that's a big one.
Yes.
Would you agree with development applications? Council have to follow the guidelines of the law as far as ticking the boxes. So if a development application has ticked all the boxes, council really can't go against that recommendation from a council officer unless they want to end up in the Land and Environment Court. Would you agree with that?
Well, Damien, when you talk about development applications, I'm afraid that Council's Local Environment Plan 2011 has been contravened for years. Under Section 5.21, it actually says that any water that falls onto a property is not to be displaced on adjacent properties. That has been happening for years. So where is the box ticked for that? That's just incorrect. When you look at the evacuation plan, as I did thoroughly, into one of the developments down Cars Drive, 216 manufactured home estate. Now in that, they said on site at any one time, there's going to be 378 people, including staff. They have like a community centre, and in that evacuation plan, it had that they could house 95 people for 10 days only. And what happens with the other people, 273 or whatever it is? It actually had in the report that they could go to the Yamba Bowling Club or into Maclean. Where are they going to go into Maclean? How are they going to get there? In the last storm, in flooding, stormwater flooding, followed by river flooding, we were blocked off on the morning that we woke up on the 28th of February in 2022. That was just appalling. The evacuation plan was not adequate at all, or is not adequate. And this one is actually with the Land and Environment Court and concurrently running with the Northern Regional Planning Panel. So I spoke to that. I've also spoken in Parliament, in New South Wales Parliament in Sydney, about a parliamentary inquiry at the moment, which is about the planning system and the impacts of climate change on the environment and communities. I've done presentations in the Land and Environment Court. So I think I'm well up to the challenge and why I'm standing for as a councillor. I think I can do it. I'm strong, resilient, honest and open.
When was it that you decided to run for council? What sort of was the trigger moment for Lynne Cairns?
I'll be terribly honest with you. I wasn't going to stand. My husband has not been well, and I felt that I should be caring for him more. And then Bob said to me, he said, you do so much work, so much research. He said, you're doing more work now than you've ever done even when you were employed and got a salary. He said, I think you need to try and get inside the tent, get a vote and try and make a difference.
So just finally, why should people of the Clarence Valley vote for Lynne Cairns on September 14?
Because I've been fighting for the community for years now. I advocate for them. I listen to them. And it's not just in Yamba, because I've had people reach out to me, search me up and ask for assistance. And I would be there for them. And I mean, it's in my flyer, for our people. And I'm for our people. And I really would like to represent and make a difference.
Well, on September 14, good luck. And thank you for your time this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Damien.
Pleasure.
Okay.